This is the Note Closer Show, where you get the latest developments in distressed note investing and learn the secrets of how you can control millions of dollars worth of property for pennies on the dollar. Get educated and entertained by someone who has closed thousands of deals and lives to support you in achieving the same. Now, here's your host, CEO of We Close Notes, Scott Carson.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here today. And I'm excited to have a very special guest on today. This guy, I'm about to tell you right now, I'm a little peanut butter and jelly. A little bit going out and doing. And we got introduced from a mutual friend, a buddy of mine, Matt Bowles. You remember him from a few episodes ago. But our guest is a new Austinite, as we like to say. He just moved here to this city, but he's doing some amazing things and has been just an amazing individual up there. He's a lifestyle entrepreneur, international speaker, and founder of the Business Method and Get Shit Done Live. The Business Method and Get Shit Done Live both help entrepreneurs grow their businesses rapidly using high-performance productivity techniques. He's been a location-independent entrepreneur almost 9 years, traveling the world consistently during that time. And over the years, he has spoken in 5 different countries, created 10 business accelerations in Spain, Brazil, and Thailand, while interviewing more than 300 successful entrepreneurs on his podcast, including, but not limited to, the likes of like Laird Hamilton, Stephen Kotler, Jim Rogers, John Lee Dumas, and Casey Fenton, and could go on and on and on. But he is just an absolutely amazing guy and interesting, and I guarantee if you listen to this episode, you're going to get a lot out of it. So we're honored to have our buddy Chris Reynolds join us here today. So what's going on, Chris?
Scott, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to just arrive in Austin a few days ago, and let's make a great podcast. What do you say?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So why the heck would you come to Austin from traveling so much? Let's dive into why are you crazy to be back here in Austin?
Yeah, so I spent 9 years traveling the world. Actually, I'm still traveling the world. I'm just hanging out in America longer than normal. And every awesome person I meet traveling the world that's doing a location independent digital nomad person, when they're not abroad, they're in Austin. And so for years, people have been saying Austin this, Austin that. And I'm like, I like living abroad and seeing all these foreign countries. It's very thrilling and pretty adventurous. And finally, it just, after hearing Austin so much, I was like, okay, I got to go check it out. So there's a couple conferences, South by Southwest, I've never been to, so I'm going to for the first time. And then DC Austin is also another entrepreneur community that I'm a part of. They have an event in April, and I think there's a paleo thing going on in April that I heard about. And so it's a good time. So I've teamed up with some good friends, and we literally, we booked this we reserved this awesome house. It's in Travis Heights, and we're gonna make a high performance house with ice, like a cold plunge ice bath that we could do every day. We're gonna put a gym in the garage. We're gonna have a co-working space, and we're gonna have non-alcoholic parties with healthy juice, full of drinking games and costumes and all the fun stuff. So yeah, there we go. So it's really gonna be top of the line, really awesome house. So I'm excited to be here, and thanks for having me, man.
No problem. So what made you, we take it back here, been traveling or just kind of hanging out in the United States here. What led up to you wanting to become lifestyle independent, or location independent is a better way, I should say.
Yeah.
And when we talk about that kind of evolution into that, what you were doing then.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about real estate on here, but we also have every one of our listeners is an entrepreneur of some sort. And so I know everybody always talks about wanting to travel more and, I wish I could go do that. Well, why don't we talk about kind of that evolution, how you were able to achieve that?
Yeah, so I started my entrepreneurial career 13 years ago, and it was in real estate. And so I was actually part of a real estate investing community called Nouveau Riche, which some of the listeners may remember. And I love that. I got my sales training there. I got my business training there. I got my real estate training there. But after 2.5 years or so, I started in '06, and so '08, and I was in Phoenix, is when the recession hit, and it wiped that company out. It wiped so many people that were investing in real estate out. Yeah. And so it was tough, but I went broke. I had a sports car, it got repoed, so I was broke. And I went through this process of building myself back up. I literally moved back to the Midwest, worked on my buddy's farm, and started building money, and started recreating money, recreating income. And so I came across this book that we all know. It's called The 4 Hour Workweek, and it's pretty cliche for a lot of us location independent entrepreneurs, but it's also the Bible in many respects for us as well. And so I literally just followed that. I read that 4 times. I listened to the audio probably a dozen times while driving in this pickup truck around the Midwest while working on this farm. And I knew that was what I was going to do. And so I started building websites online, started building niche websites online, started doing a few things here and there. And about a year and a half later, I bought a one-way ticket to Costa Rica. I was ready to go, headed to Costa Rica in April 27th, 2011. So that'll be almost just shy of 9 years now. And I never looked back, man. And I just kept building stuff online and building stuff online and doing different things and making a podcast while doing the process, talking to location independent entrepreneurs. And yeah, that's what led me to where I'm at today.
I love that. And I think back to that time because I think so many people, especially in real estate, went through a tough time there, during that period and struggled. And a lot of people would kind of give up on their dreams and say, well, okay, I'm just going to take a job and go back to the rat race. And there's nothing wrong with having to put your dreams down for a little while you go back and put money in your pocket to do what you need to do, right?
Right, absolutely.
But not everybody has the chops to say, okay, I have a plan. This is what I'm going to do, and we're going to do something different this time around and get rocking, right?
Yeah, it's a bit of chops. It's a lot of courage, but sometimes it's just naiveness, being completely naive. And it's like, what else would I do? I just had I studied business in college and grad school, and I thought, I'm not going to be happy doing anything else, so I'm just going to do it, and sometimes I was broke, sometimes I was really broke, sometimes I was in debt. But I just kept going forward one day at a time, and that was it. And I just wouldn't accept living a life that was unfit for me to live, where I wasn't happy doing what I was doing and knowing I should do what I was supposed to do. So I just kept at it.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Definitely. I love that because that's one of the, if you're unhappy with what you're doing something wrong. And I think when you're unhappy, stress comes in, and I say it's God's way of saying, hey, you need to go do something else that's going to make you happy.
Yeah.
And we all do. We all make sacrifices and negotiations with what our dreams are and goals are for us. But that's the biggest thing that I like to share with people is, if you have a goal, you have the ability to go to it. It may just take a little bit longer than you expect. So many people have a lack of patience these days when it comes to building things. And you obviously, hey, we're going to do a little bit of this. We're going to have some success. We're going to take a step forward, maybe take a step back, sometimes 2 steps back. But then you learn from changing and tweaking and really mutating, or no, you're not mutating, evolving as an entrepreneur, right?
We can mutate as entrepreneurs too, man. That's okay. we have our moments.
Right, exactly. So what was the biggest, with you talking to so many people and you going out and meeting and talking with independent entrepreneurs that are independent of location, what do you see as being, the top 2 or 3 characteristics that they have that have helped them overcome obstacles? Because everybody I know is going to faces obstacles, from time to time. It's just a guarantee that's going to happen. No matter how successful you get, you're going to face, have to take a step back. Markets change, careers change, things like that. But with you doing so much talking with people, interviewing, like I said, what are the couple characteristics that really stand out to you, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of location independent entrepreneurs, and I'll refer specifically to entrepreneurs that are traveling on a regular basis, right? So there's a lot of entrepreneurs that could be location independent, but they choose to stay in one place. A lot of us are really just once upon a time backpackers with laptops, And you see the location independent entrepreneurs that have been doing this, 5, 7, 10 years or so. They, back then they just wanted to keep traveling, and we were making, 1,000, 2,000 bucks a month, and just trying to keep it going. And we didn't want to go back to the U.S., or we didn't want, or our home countries, wherever that was, for whatever reason, and there's just a massive sense of adventure. Now, one thing that's really cool, and actually they talk about this in the 4 Hour Work Week, is that you become, when you have geo arbitrage and location independence, you become what they call the new rich, right? And you can live a very wealthy lifestyle on a lower income because you can make dollars, pay in rupees, and live on pesos, right? And so, I go to Thailand every year for 2 or 3 months, and I live just as well as I do in Austin. Maybe I spend 5 to 6 grand a month in Austin, and in Thailand, 2 grand, you know, and it is an amazing lifestyle, and you're having all this fun adventure with a bunch of entrepreneurs as well. And so that's really fun, especially if like you're a new startup or if you're a new company. You can go to another country and it say you only have a couple $1,000s a month in rev, or $3,000 or whatever. You can live with low expenses and dump all the rest of the money back into the business, where necessarily you couldn't do that in the Western part of the world, we'll say. So that's it. Just a huge sense of adventure, a love for travel, and also the courage to look at the world differently. So many people struggle with like needing the 9 to 5, or needing an office space, or needing a tight knit community, or needing the regular schedule in a home base area, or needing a 3 mile radius and not rarely going out of that unless it's on vacation. And for location independent entrepreneurs, like, you have to break all of those molds. You really do. You have to think completely different. As an entrepreneur, you have to think completely different, and it almost takes it to another level if you are a location independent entrepreneur, because you thrive off the thrill of going to a new city or a new country, and it's almost a necessity, and you can't stop thinking about it. So, like, I've done this for 9 years, right? And I go to where I have purpose. I go to where my community and friends are, and I go to, and I'm not limited by any social norms, not insurance policies, not having a car and a mortgage back home. I'm not limited to any of that. And so you create new systems as a location independent entrepreneur. You create new norms. You create new social, you could almost say social migrations. And so I know that there's going to be a couple hundred entrepreneurs, similar to what you would find here in Austin, in Thailand every October, November. And so I go there because I know they're there. And then I know in Europe is a really great place for summertime. And there's a bunch of location independent entrepreneurs hopping around the different cities in Europe. Lisbon is a really hot spot right now. Barcelona is a great one. And so it's so easy to create that. So for the past 4 years, this is different this year, but for the past 4 years, I've spent Q1 in Brazil, all summer in Europe, extended summers in Europe, October, November-ish in Thailand, and then I come back home for Christmas, and I do it all again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I love that. I absolutely love that. And talking about, I love your analogy about, hey, making dollars, living on rubies, and then spending pesos.
Yeah.
For other things there for you. So let's paint that virtual picture. Are you just like a backpack and one bag of clothes and your essentials for the most part, and then picking up things where you're at because they have just about everything you need where other places, or do you have like a 2 backpacks, or what's it kind of look like when you're traveling?
So I started out very much as the guy with a backpack and a laptop, and that was about it. And then I graduated, and I had a roll along carry-on suitcase, and then a school size backpack. And then I as you grow older, you need some more things as you go along. And so now I have actually a check-on bag and then a school size backpack, and that's it. But I put like I have I'm sitting on a yoga ball
Yep.
I always need that. Like it's good for my back. And then I have like exercise equipment, and I travel with a yoga mat. And then I have like you can see this really quick. I have a light to help for my podcasting and videos. So about half of that is actually equipment for the business. My clothes, I always have, like, every time I go to a new place, I want to get new clothes. Not a complete wardrobe, but a few new things, right? So I always leave some things that have kind of worn out. Maybe they're a couple years old. And literally, this place here has got a nice big walk-in closet, and I fill up about like 10% of it, 5%
Right.
of it. And it is very, like, if you've read the book Essentialism, it is very much that type of lifestyle. I haven't owned a car in 7 years. I sold it after a year and a half or so of traveling. And it's been so nice not to have a car. You don't have to worry about gas and insurance and maintenance on the car. Um, and so yeah, it's a essentialist lifestyle. I don't want to say minimalist because I think essentialist is better. Yeah, and you just recycle your things that you really need. Your priorities are very much like, will I use this? Is this thing useful? Is it gonna, be useful in the next country or city I go to? And if not, you just leave it. And then to pick up some new things in a new town, it's like $100, and you've got everything you need, really. $150 max. And sometimes, like, if I want a juicer, I'll just leave one juicer somewhere, donate it to a cleaning lady or the apartment complex or a friend or something, and then buy a new juicer when you're in a new town, or yeah, when you get there.
I love that, and that's the smart thing, because I think so many of our objects and responsibilities weigh us down in a variety of things. And so, when you look at, you can really bootstrap your entrepreneurship or your things you're doing, and
Hmm.
really maximize what's going into your business or what you're saving, so that you, like you said, hey, your overhead is a minimal thing. Whereas we
Hmm.
all know overhead often kills most of the entrepreneurs in the first year, because they've got all this office space or other things that they think they need to have,
Yeah.
and they don't.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And when it comes to lifestyle too, because you have a lower budget depending on where you're living, or you have the access to do these fun adventures and trips.
Mhm.
So, like, literally, we'll do a dirt bike, yeah, downhill mountain biking trip one day, then maybe a dirt bike, a few days later, dirt bike trip a few days later, then maybe go rock climbing a few days later. And so we take, when we leave, when we die, we take our memories with us and our experiences, not our offices and not our homes and not our money, but those really epic memories that we live, and cherishing those experiences with people you enjoy being around. And that's what that's about. That's what the whole 4 Hour Work Week mission started out as. And more and more people are doing it, and it's so exciting, because I think it's going to become more of a new norm, because thousands and thousands of people start this lifestyle every year. And yeah, it's an exciting movement to be a part of.
Yeah. Now let's kind of transition a little bit here over
Yeah.
to, because you're working with a lot of entrepreneurs
Hmm.
and helping them achieve growth through using high performance productivity techniques. Let's talk about some of the things. I guarantee you're probably teaching the same techniques that you're using for growth and things like that. Correct, Chris?
For sure, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, so we work with mainly entrepreneurs that are looking to actually either scale their business, take their business to the next level. They have a big goal or new product launch that they want to do. Or a lot of entrepreneurs come to us because they want more balance in their life, and they've been working away and working away and working away, and they need it. And so I use a simple goal setting method that I've used for 12 years now. And it's just basically, setting a goal, having a target, reverse engineering that goal, having accountability, having a coach look over your shoulder, having encouragement. And then I also like to talk a lot about, I'm really into neuroscience and neurochemistry, and how our productivity levels affect our brain, how it affects our physiology, stress that we're experiencing on a regular basis, and then balancing that. So using, like, getting your daily dose, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins on a regular basis, so you can keep that excitement and not flooding your brain with, like, dopamine hits of too much game. You have too many games online, or too much, unhealthy habits online, or too much just watching Netflix, and that can really wear down the pleasure centers of our brain. So if we can balance our neurochemistry and balance the dopamine that drips into our pleasure centers, then we'll be much more productive throughout the day. We'll be happier. We'll be excited. And also helping people realize the things that they need on a daily basis to make their day great. So for me personally, I need meditation, exercise, and planning. And if I get those three things in, there's like a 98% chance that I'm going to have a great day. And if I miss, like if I'm not having a great day, I'll just think like, what am I missing? Oh, I forgot to exercise today. I didn't plan it in, or I didn't plan this week. I got busy and did something else. But if I get those three things in, like my days are just really just like on par. Seems like things always line up really well, and it's a fun, happy way to live.
Yeah, that's the thing is if you can, you're basically kind of setting up routines.
Yeah.
That we're getting things rock and rolling on a daily, weekly basis. Now, are those routines easier when you're stateside or more difficult stateside than when you're traveling too? A quick question there for you.
Yes, I would 1,000% argue that they're easier stateside or wherever your home base is, right? Because you're in a community, you're in an area that you know well, and that reduces the friction. And so it makes it easier to go to the gym that you need to go to, the grocery store you need to go to, and do anything really that you need to do, right? So when you are abroad, when you are traveling, one of the things that I make sure that I do is before arrival, I need to have accommodation with good Wi-Fi in a good area that I know I'm going to enjoy, and need to know like where it's going to have a close gym and a good grocery store that's close. And those are the priorities. And so through different methods, there's a lot of different websites or different ways you can do that, but you can have that all set up before you actually arrive. And sometimes if it's a new city and I want to get a feel for the city, then I'll arrive in the city and spend like 3 to 5 days feeling out the neighborhoods and checking out some apartments either on Airbnb or Nomad X is another website that you can use. And so both of those are really, and just taking time to feel the area out and see where the gyms and grocery stores are, make it real handy, and see the apartments to see if you really actually vibe well with the apartments. But when I do arrive in a new place, my priority is to continue my routine, not to go see all the sights and sounds. I make sure I have my week scheduled. I make sure I have my 8 hours or so of work that I'm doing every day. I make sure I have my exercise, and my goals are the ones that come first, and that kind of creates a foundation. So then in the evenings and the weekends, you can go play. You can go see the beaches, and you can go see the elephants. You can go see whatever.
So what have you found that maybe not only in your day-to-day activities or things that you're doing, but also with your successful entrepreneurs or those that are struggling, and then they remove something from their life, whether it's, I don't know, maybe it's something that they were doing, removing Netflix, I would say obviously would be one, as you mentioned there, but is there a thing when it comes to diet or energy or things like that that's really helped them kind of get that first boost of success that really helps them drive towards really being more successful in the long run?
Yeah, I think the first thing that and the most important thing for anybody is to do less, and to do less better. And
what?
so, like,
Wait a
yes,
second.
do less. You're a high performance productivity guy telling you to do less, right? What's happening? What? Yeah, and I love all the high performance mechanisms and techniques and all of it, but the less we do, the better we can do things, and we can do them with more energy and clarity. And really doing more is about pleasing a restless mind, and we create a restless mind a lot of times to cover up like hidden emotions and pains and trauma from the past, to keep us busy so we don't feel that stuff, right? And it's so many times, people get burnout is because they're trying to do more, and they're actually like really just running away from some hidden feelings and emotions that they had maybe when they're a child, or maybe from a relationship, or maybe losing a business or something like that. And it's not about doing more. The more we can make our mind more peaceful and slow it down, the better decisions we can make, the more clear we can make a decision. We can make decisions that don't attract drama or more trauma or restlessness to our lives. So a restless mind creates more restlessness. A calm and relaxed mind creates more relaxation, clarity, peace of mind. And so I always say, take time to slow down your mind, walk in nature, go for a weekend camp out by yourself even, do some personal growth, journal, meditate, do those things to slow down that mind. And when you slow down our minds, then the things that are really important to priorities come up. And it's no longer about like catching up on the Netflix series, or no longer about, trying out all the new restaurants in town. It becomes like, what are the juiciest priorities that I have? The 4 or 5, 2 or 3, and then planning your day to make sure you focus on those. And the more you do that, the more it becomes a habit, and more it becomes a way of life. Time and time again, people say, "Oh, I got rid of my phone, or I got off social media, and I don't miss it whatsoever." Or they say, "I haven't watched Netflix in 3 years. I don't miss it one bit." Although they were constantly wrapped up in it. I haven't done email, in so long, and so just taking time to step away, and you need to do that on a regular basis, really, weekly minimal, daily optimal, and step away, slow down, relax, and focus on what the priority is. And when you have your priorities, you'll be amazed on the energy that you can put towards those priorities, the amount that you can create because you have so much energy focused in those priorities, and the results that you get from those too.
Mm. Yeah, that's the big thing is if you're trying to do too many things, you're not going to be successful at any one of them
Yeah.
uh, in the
Yeah.
long run. Or the proverbial burning the candle at both ends, you end up burning out quite quickly, right?
Yeah. Stressed and miserable, and like it's no
Fun
fun.
at all. Now, y- what would you say if you look back at, obviously stress and the market being a crap
hmm
hole 9, 10 years ago with it going on? What would you say looking back now? Would you recognize yourself from 9 years ago with the differences going on? Or you would be like, I don't recognize that individual?
I mean, I lived through it, so yeah, I would definitely recognize it. Maybe other people wouldn't recognize it as much. Actually, funny you said that. I was in Austin, and I have two Austin, actually one San Antonio friend and one Austin friend, and we all started out in Phoenix 13 years ago in that real estate with that real estate company, and but we've kind of followed each other along, and I would say yes in many aspects because I think the foundations of my personality from back then and now are similar. The values are similar, but there's different habits. I'm just a more mature version of that younger guy. So yeah, it'd be interesting. I think about that a lot. Like, in what I'm doing now, like, is that pleasing my 15-year-old self and 95-year-old self, right? And if you can like answer that question, like, yes, my 95-year-old self is happy with what I'm doing, and my 15-year-old self is happy too, then I think you're in the right spot.
Yeah, that would be truthful there. Now, with talking about traveling and working abroad, but you're working with entrepreneurs. How are you finding and how are you discovering entrepreneurs? How are you paying the bills for what you have with what's going on with you?
Yeah, so like I fill the funnels just like anybody else. We have a podcast, we have courses, we have high performance coaching. I have a live event we do in Thailand every year.
And don't
And
give that away. I want to come back to that.
okay,
Okay.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I just do it in different places. I speak abroad quite a bit. I was in Lisbon this past 29 the summer of 2019, and you make connections, and if you have a podcast, like you've got a podcast, anywhere you go, you've got kind of a reputation going. And fortunate enough, like because I've interviewed so many location independent entrepreneurs in that scene, I'm decently known, and so I get asked to speak quite often to conferences or events or workshops, and so that helps, and that's part of filling the funnel up. Then the podcast fills the funnel up, it brings them to the website, and then we go into people either come in through the coaching, the courses, or the live event. And now people are reaching out to help me, or for me to do courses for their networks. So we had a guy reach out, and we spent a few months building a course, and he just sold it to his network, and then we split the profits. And that's the gist of it. I think um, it's like I'm working right now, like to build my value ladder up better and always add, but I'll not add too much to it. And I've got like three things that people come in all at the same level, and there's not like that step by step. So that's one of my goals actually for this year is to work on that value ladder better. But yeah, I'm really proud of the way that this business has been designed. Last year, I set the goal to work less and make more, and I hit that goal. I didn't even know I was hitting that goal, and I hit that goal. And so, yeah, I was happy for that. And it's, it's a long road as an entrepreneur. We've got a lot of ups and downs, and we've got a lot of growth, and we just keep going one day at a time. Right, Scott?
That's right. One day at a time. Sweet. Now, with you, would you find that a lot of your clients are still U.S. based, or it's a mixture of international clients?
Both. Yeah, it's pretty spread out. I would say like 60% are US based and then 40% are international, but still like I would say the majority of location independent entrepreneurs are still Americans, probably like 60 to 70% of them. And one thing that type of travel really does give you the insight for is realizing how privileged we are in the Western world, and we don't even know it. And a lot of people could make that argument, but like location independent entrepreneurs aren't coming from South America as much, aren't coming from African countries as much, aren't coming from the Middle East as much. And it's because of the social systems that have been set up and the education and the access to money that we have. And so that's something that also makes you really grateful for. And it's good because, more people are going to different parts of the world to spread the ideas of entrepreneurship and working online that are helping more people become wealthier. And it's like, a lot of people hire people from the Eastern Europe or the Philippines. And so it's a bargain deal to hire people for us for there, but they're making a lot of money compared in their countries. They're 23 years old and making more money than their father ever made in their lives, And so it's good to see that because people are just growing in different areas, and it's like a globalization effect. More and more people are realizing that with a computer, with a phone, and internet access, you're limitless. You're really, really limitless.
Yeah, especially, internet is spreading and access and Wi-Fi has become, actually it's better in some countries than it is here.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, but it's not the same thing. You don't have to be tied down to a specific city or a state. If you want to do it, there's a way to make things happen, unless you're selling a physical product and you're the guy going out and picking oranges or carrots or something like that. There's some industries that like that. But what would you say when you're talking with thing, what would you say is the number one, I guess you could say, I hate to say this, but lie that entrepreneurs tell to themselves that you help them overcome? What's the biggest misconception that they have that you're like, doing less obviously is probably up there, but is there something that when you hear from entrepreneurs of why they can't get what they want, you just kind of shake your head?
It goes back to that, just thinking they can do everything, and we think we can do everything. We're highly ambitious entrepreneurs. We think we can do it all. We've got a lot of energy. We're ambitious people, and a new idea comes across our plate, and of course we're going to think we can tackle it. And it's part of too much confidence, a little bit of ego, but also part of just like we like to take things on and we like to make things happen. And so many people just overwhelm themselves, myself included, from time to time. Like overwhelm themselves. Like I have a new opportunity come across my plate, and I'm like, yeah. And then I would sit back and I think to myself, well, I'm going to have to take away this and that if I'm going to make this happen. And I think that's a really good exercise, Scott. Like if we sit down and measure what we have to take away in order to start a new project, then all of a sudden that new project that comes across doesn't seem necessarily as exciting. And if it is still exciting, realizing you have to take away other things, then maybe it is the thing you should be working on, right? And yeah, I would say that the biggest lie we tell ourselves is that we can do everything, and we can't. We can do anything, but we've got to pick and choose the things that we can do and focus on those.
Mm-hmm. Now you hinted, and you've talked about we about your big thing that you do in Thailand. Let's dive in a little bit of that and the evolution of how you came into creating that event.
Yeah, so we do an event.
Hang on a second.
Yes.
If you're not watching the video, you should see. If you're listening to this, Chris's eyes just doubled up in excitement immediately there. I'm sure if you're watching the video here on YouTube or on Facebook, you see that. But if you're listening to it, I had to stop him because it was just like, oh my God, yes. That's a sign when you know somebody's excited about what they're doing.
I'm gonna go back and screenshot it just to say, just. um, Yeah, so we do this event called Get Shit Done Live in the north of Thailand every year. And we pick the north of Thailand. There's a city there called Chiang Mai that is really the digital nomad, location independent hub of the world. That's where a lot of it started. And so I was traveling the world for a few years, and I was actually kind of lonely. I would live in Costa Rica, I lived in Peru, I lived in Spain, and I didn't realize it at the time, but what I was missing was like-minded people. And I'm an extrovert, and so I need my tribe, I need my like-minded people to fuel me and to keep me going. And when I realized this, I thought, why don't we create like some sort of co-living, co-working business accelerator? And at the time I was in Barcelona, so we did it in Barcelona, and we'll put it up on a website and see if people come. This was late 2014. And we put it out there, sent it out to the networks, and that we got 12 people to come to Barcelona for 3 months. We lived together, we set goals together, we enjoyed the city together. We just had a really good time. We built business together, we mastermind together. That's really actually where my podcasting days started. And at one of the masterminds, I said to the guys, I'm thinking about making this a business. What do you all think? And they all said overwhelmingly said yes. And that was really kind of before any of the co-working, co-living places, businesses or startups out there got moving at all. So we were one of the original ones. And I called that the Entrepreneur House. And so I did that in Brazil, in Barcelona, in Thailand. And then eventually, like, I got into a relationship and I realized I couldn't live in a house of entrepreneurs and create a sustainable business and be in a relationship at the time. So I thought, like, also I realized that I was very much trading time for dollars. So I thought, like, how can I take all the productivity, all the juicy stuff out of this, create it into something that's completely online, and then create one event each year, and it's 10 days long. And so I continued the event in Thailand. We just finished our 5th year there. Now it's 10 days long. It's called Get Shit Done Live. And it's all about setting 1 or 2 major goals in those 10 days, something that's really going to take your business to the next level, something you've really wanted to finish, and knocking it out, working on nothing else but that in those 10 days. And it's really cool because a magic happens, Scott, when we're there. You have, like, these group of entrepreneurs, and we put them in small groups based on experience and income and niches, and everybody's working together and helping each other. And because, like, somebody may be really good at Facebook ads, somebody may really be good at copy, another person's really good at design, you can meet up with those people and for free get thousands of dollars of consulting and help you, like, catapult your goal to the next step throughout that process. And as the days get shorter, like, we have 2 check-ins a day, we do pomodoros every day, and as the days get, we get closer to the end, the last, like, 4 days, the amount of progress that people make on their goal in the last 4 days and in 2 days and even the last 1 day is amazing. And one guy came one year. His name's Dave Sheffield, and in his last 2 days at the event, ended up creating Facebook ads that produced him just shy of $200,000 in business revenue. And you get people that come and they'll knock out like 6 months of income at the event, and for what we charge, like, it's just shy of $1,000. But if you stay with us, it's 1,500, 2,000. And for what what we charge, it's like pennies on the dollar compared to, knocking out, I mean, come on, 6 months of income in 10 days. Like, that's awesome. And so it's really fun to see, and I'll keep doing it. Eventually, I have some, I'd like to do it in Austin one of these days, but that'll be one of the things that I have to start when the other projects that are priorities slow down.
So for those that don't know, what's a Pomodoro for everybody?
Yeah, good question. So Pomodoro originally is 25 minutes of work and 5-minute break, 25 minutes of work and 5-minute break. You can also do those in 50 minutes, 50 minutes, and then 10-minute break. Or is a lot of flow state experts claim is that 90 minutes of work, 15-minute breaks, 90 minutes of work, 15-minute breaks. And that's for the creative flow, if you want to get in those creative flow states. Like checking email and doing miscellaneous tasks, like 25 on, 5 off is really good.
That's a great thing. I think keeps the brain fresh. It keeps it flowing. and the mind can only absorb what the ass can withstand, right? So you've got to get up and go do
I
something.
like that. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but that's the big key. You know, I try to work in quick bursts, 30 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna go get a walk or walk around or go down and get a juice or get up and stretch or change your mind. So it's flexible. You know, working 8 hours straight isn't going to make you effective the last hours, a few hours any day, right, Chris?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we got to balance it.
Right. So how many people you said basically it's like $2,000 to come to one of these things plus your travel costs and things, or am I wrong on that?
So the actual event is just shy of $1,000. Like I think it's 750 now this year. And then if you stay, like we have accommodation there, and if you choose to stay at the accommodation, it's like 1,500 for a studio, and then $2,000 for I think one bedroom, or 1,900 for one bedroom, or something like that. And then we have 2 bedroom options too, because we do have families come from time to time. And then you get that apartment for 4 weeks. So it's not just the 10 days that we're there. So a lot of people just stay and hang. About 60% of the people stay and hang out and play around and go see the temples and the elephants and do the fun things in Thailand.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it, because you would think of, you know, I think about international travel. A lot of times people get worried about the cost and expensive, or Tony Robbins charges $75,000 plus travel cost is big events and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Out there, and but that's the beautiful thing is you can go do some great things, and for the less than most people's mortgage in a year, really be able to knock out, or in a month anyway, knock out for the price of that to really accelerate your business. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals. What kind of size are you guys standing? So you started with 12. What's it kind of grown into? What's been your biggest group?
Oh, we have anywhere from 30 to 40 people. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So it becomes a really close-knit group by the end of that 10 days.
Very close-knit group. And at the end of it, we go to those obstacle course water parks. Like they have one there in Thailand, and it's like it's also like team building. We have so much fun. We let out like all the aggression we just built up over the past 10 days, and play, and then we race around the obstacle course, and like every man for himself throw each other off of it. It's a lot of fun. You jump off like 30-foot cliffs, and it's fun.
Where do you see what's your big goal for 2020? I mean, obviously you're gonna be in Austin for a little bit, but what's been your big goal that you're looking to accomplish this year?
Yeah, so for 2018 and 2019, what I did is just made like 2 or 3 main goals for myself, and that was really powerful, because usually, like, I used to write a list of 100 things I wanted to do, and I'd knock off maybe 25, 35, 40 of them or something, and I started doing more research about, like, this doing less better, and thinking about myself at the end of the year. And I encourage, like, the clients I work with or anybody trying this exercise, think about yourself at the end of the year, and what are the 2 or 3 things that you'll get done at the end of the year that will make you feel really, really damn good, and think about yourself in that moment with those things. And so for me this year, it's 3 things. One, it is continue to grow the podcast. 2, it is continue to sell the course. So we have new courses that we just launched at the end of the year. And then the third thing is that we now have like this high performance brain scanner that you put on your head, and it shows you the alpha, beta, theta, delta, gamma waves that are going on, and everything that's happening inside your brain. So it's to learn more of that, and to do more brain scans to help more entrepreneurs grow.
I love it. Now, you said you've got some courses you created to help with entrepreneurs. You want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so one course that we have, the main course, is optimize your time to increase your productivity 100 to 200%. And if you can do that, like, it's doubling your output, it's doubling the things that you do. And really, like, the best flow state experts will tell you, if you just get into flow state on a regular basis and make it a habit, you can easily 5 to 7x, 500% to 700% increase your creative output. And so this course is about optimizing your time on measuring your time over a couple of weeks, and then figuring out your unconscious habits that you're doing that get in the way of that stop you from creating the results that you want. And then you get clear on those priorities, the things that you should double down on. So it's a 2-week course, and we take people through the whole entire process, and we walk every single day. We have a video walking you through of what you should do, and then at the end of it, you can really, we say like 100% to 200% your productivity, but you can do even more. And it's because you become aware of the things that are really holding you back. You become a fly on the wall of your own behavior. And yeah, it's a great exercise. I learned this exercise from a mentor of mine. From when I started on entrepreneurship, a guy that owned 42 different businesses, and he taught me this exercise, and I use it every year, 6 months to a year, just to re-ante, to make sure like I'm on top of my game with my own performance. And every time I do it, like I learn so much more about myself. It's really cool. Like there's no, high performance productivity. There's no ending to it. It's like peeling a layer of onion. The more you learn about yourself, the more you can see how you can perform better. The more you realize simple things like doing less better, and the more you can get a lot of shit done.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love it. What's the best way for people to engage or connect with you, to find out more details about Thailand?
Yeah.
And then find out some of the other, like the class you just mentioned there, find out the best way to tap into that.
Yeah, everybody, you can just go to thebusinessmethod.com, and there's a little link up there for the events and for the podcast, and everything's up at the top of the menu, and you can check everything out you need to check out.
Thebusinessmethod.com. We'll have links to that in the show notes as well on the website, everybody, weekclosenotes.com. But now that you're here in Austin, what's one thing that you have not done in Austin that you're looking forward to doing?
Everything, man. I've only been here a week. Meeting you, Scott, and having coffee with you and meeting you in person. And but we'll make that happen eventually. I'm here for like 6 to 8 months, so we'll make it happen.
Well, we'll definitely make it happen sooner than later for sure, and we'll talk a little about that afterwards. Your buddy here locally, it was a Nuva Reach. It wouldn't be Kurt Malley by any chance, would it?
Yeah, it's Kurt. Yeah,
it's Kurt. I know. Yeah, I've known Kurt's journey and everything like that, and he's a great guy, absolute great guy too.
I got him into Nuva Reach 13 years ago, and that was his first entrepreneurial journey. Mine too. And so yeah, we've gone a long way together.
He does a great job, and absolutely, I've known Kurt since his Nuva Reach days.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah, and
he probably tried to get you into Nuva Reach.
He did. I was already doing stuff, and I was like, "Listen, I don't need that, but that's appreciated." But appreciate it because it's the same thing. One of the great things was the community, the aspect of things, the education, and that's the biggest thing I think we all need as entrepreneurs. I know it's one thing that I crave is hanging out with fellow like-minded entrepreneurs, and I think a lot of us get sucked into being kind of into our own comfort zone, our own office or home, if we can, versus going out and networking and kind of bouncing ideas off that. So I crave that in a lot of ways, and part of what's helped me to add that dopamine is the podcast and be able to network and talk with people like you. And it's a small word if you think back to this. Matt Bowles introduced us, but we're friends with Kurt Malley both, and there's I think there's something to be said about good people surrounding themselves with great people, right?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And it's always fun to meet new people, and especially like when you go on Facebook and you realize you've got like 150 mutual friends with a person you've never met before, and then you're like, why don't we know each other?
Right?
I'm like, friend, yeah.
Exactly. Well, hey, Chris, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Thanks for sharing some big knowledge bombs out there. And I think if you're listening to this or watching this, guys and gals, less is actually more in this world of today, as Chris will talk about. If you want to accomplish something, you want to travel more, take a look at it. I bet you'd be willing to some ways that you could do some amazing things. So maybe don't you walk in and say, hey, I take this job and shove it, but something you can do is a ramp up to getting forward. Chris dropped some great nuggets on some places to look at and tactics and things like that. And so we look forward. We're going to have Chris back on again at a later time as well, too. All right, Chris?
Thanks for having me, Scott. It's been a pleasure, man.
And same here, man. Hey, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Note Closer Show. Like we said, go out and check Chris's website. We'll check in the show notes. Do me a favor. Go over and check his podcast as well, too. He does a great job out there. He's a recent presenter on the Pitch a Pod Pitch at the Mass Media Podcast Summit. We did a great job. Great stuff on there. Some really great guests that will add more to your mindset and thought level, and help you would be more productive, not only as an entrepreneur, but as an individual as well. So go out, take some action, everybody, and we'll see you all at the top.